me and Jess get to do
with the woman. Yeah, not the women, but the woman.
The woman. We get to do our own podcast again. I'm excited. I guess Netflix is being challenging because they just keep moving the prices up. So Brennan's like, I don't have Netflix right now. We're like, that's all right. We got this. Don't worry. Not a problem. So tonight we are reviewing the Netflix film that people seem to be talking a lot about, especially the ending, Leave the World Behind. What were your impressions on this? Because I know you were in on it immediately, so you knew about it.
Yeah, I feel like I probably saw it on TikTok. Like, I feel like that's how I see most Netflix things now, are just ads on TikTok.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's just Julie Roberts. It should be a quality movie. It's not another trash Netflix movie. I would give it a go.
Right. I mean, that is the draw. You got Julie Roberts. You got Mahershala Ali. I mean, who else is in this thing?
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, right? Ethan Hawke, when was the last time I saw a movie with Ethan Hawke? I'm not sure. And then there are a couple other people. I'm not sure that they're anybody knows. These are mostly the kids in the movie. There's Maya La, Farrah McKenzie, Charlie Evans, and then we get sort of a almost cameo, but from Kevin Bacon. I mean, he's pretty important in the movie, but it's always nice to see Kevin Bacon. I mean, who doesn't love Bacon?
was he the crazy neighbor that hoarded everything?
Yeah, he was the survivalist, the prepared guy for all that. So you didn't recognize him as Kevin Bacon?
No, I don't think I recognized his face at all, though. I'm not sure if I'd recognize Kevin Bacon even on the red carpet. So.
I would recognize Kevin Bacon. I mean, he's, a bunch of 80s movies that obviously I grew up with. But when I saw, he comes in the very beginning of the movie, he's only showed really briefly, and I had no idea. And my husband's like, I didn't know Kevin Bacon was in this movie. I'm like, oh, it's Kevin Bacon? So we probably had the same sort of thing. So Leave the World Behind. We went over who is in it, and there's just a brief synopsis, which really does not exactly cover what this is about, because it sort of sounds like it's maybe hey, let's go to the beach movie. A family's getaway to a luxurious rental home, it is luxurious, takes an ominous turn when a cyber attack knocks out their devices and two strangers appear at their door. I mean, it's a little more complex than that, but that's what we get as a starting point on this. And Jess, first of all, what do you think of that synopsis? Is that enough to make you want to watch the movie, or?
I don't even know, like you said, if that accurately summarizes what happened. Though I don't even think I could think of anything better. Because there's so many, it's just like a weird movie. I don't know. There's so many things that happen, and also so many answers left out in the open.
Yeah.
So I don't even know if I can correctly even tell you what really happened myself.
Well, it's a long movie. It comes in at like just under 220, I think. And I'm going to be honest with you, for me, it felt like a long movie.
I watched it in two parts. I watched it before I fell asleep, and then I did the second run. So I had my own part 1 and 2, whereas the movie had 5 parts.
Yeah, this was like a mini series straight off. But I remember as we were texting back and forth about this, you were like, I tried to watch it and fell asleep, and I'm like, uh-oh, not good. We might not be reviewing this movie. We might be just throwing in another, Idris Elba movie and reviewing that, which that's always okay with me.
That's never a problem for me.
No, always down for that. But yeah, I mean, did you find it as slow as I did?
This is one of the movies that Brennan will probably eat up and love, because it's so artistic and so weird, and so many awkward shots.
Right.
All the things that all the indie movie lovers love to talk about and rave about, whereas me, I'm just it's just weird. The camera movements, the weird dialogue, the piano music, that was just everywhere.
Right.
I don't know if I can watch something like that for a whole 2.5 hours. It was definitely different, and I appreciate that, but I think it was not a little over the top. I don't know.
Well, I think something like this has just been done better before, and it's not, I don't know what he was trying for, but you're right about the artistic piece. I mean, in the very beginning, the soundtrack already starts ominous, and you can't do that. I feel like you have to build up to that. At no point did I think this was going to be we're just going to the beach movie. It starts off
Oh
with
yeah.
super ominous music, and then once we get to the house, which is stunning, I'm not going to lie.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we get like these weird, super long, like literally 3-minute overhead weird shots of like Julia Roberts walking up the stairs, and the camera's not only is it overhead, but it's going in like a 360 kind of round view, and I'm like, I'm getting a little like nauseous.
Dizzy.
Yeah, watching this.
Yeah.
And it happens many times in the movie. It's like if I don't know whether that's his artistic way of being like this is a thriller. We're waiting for something to happen. I'm like, I'm waiting for you to stop moving the goddamn camera is what I'm waiting for.
That is so true. I remember there was one scene specifically where the younger girl like walks towards the TV, but rather than just the camera still and she's walking, like we're walking with her with the camera. It's just like, it's almost like too in your face. I don't know.
It's too in your face, but I mean, that's actually a great point. There's only like two from what I'm remembering, there's only like two things. There's either the weird camera stuff going on, usually with one person involved, and then if there's two people having a conversation, it's always, first of all, a really long conversation. And second of all, I just feel like the camera movements, especially there's a big long segment with Mahershala Ali and Julia Roberts' character. And I just feel like it's super awkward. Like, really.
It's so, I mean, that's what they're going for. Like, awkward is in right now, so.
Is it awkward to make us uncomfortable? Is that, like, are we supposed to be uncomfortable because of what's happening? We didn't even really tell you what's happening in the movie. So what happens is this family, they live in New York. My very favorite part of the movie happens in the first, 3 minutes. Julia Roberts staring outside of her, again, another stunning building of her apartment or whatever it is that she lives in New York City. She stands outside, she's talking to her husband, and he's laying in the bed, and she finally just says, she has a really long speech, and at the end of it, she just kind of looks at the camera and says, I fucking hate people. And I'm like, oh, what? Yes. I mean, yeah. I mean, I love people, but also they're really difficult, So I get it. So we know what kind of person she is. I mean, that tells us straight away what kind of person she is. So they all...
and I feel like that's a giveaway in the movie where if she openly says that, she's going to have to interact with people she doesn't like. Like, that's just...
And it gives you... Giveaway. And it gives you for sure that she's kind of prickly. And that Ethan Hawke with his, I don't know what he does. He's a tenured professor in some bullshit, something or another. And he's the one that's kind of just like, la, 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 going through life. And then they've got these two kids that seem, I don't know.
Very weird.
Weird. The boy seems kind of fine, but the girl is super awkward. And she seems a little possessed at times in the movie, I think.
She does seem possessed.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's moments in this movie where it feels like there is possession going on. There's a moment... her obsession with Friends is like... Her obsession with Friends. Yeah, I'm like, is that a thing? For somebody her age, she's probably, 13 or 14, something like that, I think?
Yeah.
And she is obsessed with Friends. And that's the whole, she's trying to watch Friends this whole time. And that's why she's mad about what's happening in the world around them.
Because she can't watch Friends.
Yeah, exactly. Because she doesn't really have any friends. So this movie is also divided up into 5 parts, which I thought, okay, this is going to be sort of telling because they stop and they put, part 1. So part 1 is the house, and we see the house and everything, and then all of a sudden they go to the beach, and remember the ship? So they go to the beach.
Yeah, and I don't even think we still got a real answer on the ship. I think towards the end when he was explaining what he projects is happening to the world, maybe the ship was part of in that explanation.
Yes.
But still not really.
Yeah, I think it is with the ships and the planes and then the Tesla cars. I think all of that is that's all related to the fact
Working theory, I guess.
yeah, whatever happened, but the theory is that all the satellites went out. So when you don't have satellite, you don't have GPS, you don't have Wi-Fi, you don't have your phones, cell phones, anything like that. So even like the sat nav phone, he found one of those, and that doesn't work either. But so this giant oil tanker like just comes up on the beach and beaches itself. Later on, planes start flying into the beach. It's like, I don't know why they're always landing on the beach, but I guess if you have a beach, you might as well use it, right? So, but at that point, they kind of figure out that there's a cyber attack and of some sort because nothing's working, but they don't really know whether it's like for, right in their area or what's happening. And then there's a knock at the door, and it winds up being the people who actually own the house. But Julia Roberts is very suspicious of them. Her husband, way less suspicious. And it's Mahershala Ali and his daughter, and something happens in the city when they're there, so they decide that they want to come home. So they find out that this thing is happening in the city. Whatever's happening at their house with the cyber attack is happening in the city too. So now they're in the house, and they're staying in the house, and everybody's suspicious of each other except for Ethan Hawke. Not suspicious of anyone. Going around living it, right? Just living his life.
He really is. He's just like, he's living his life.
Yeah, he's living his life. I mean, Mahershala Ali is also not suspicious, but we're suspicious of him because it seems like he knows something about this that he's not telling everybody.
It does.
Yeah.
And I actually thought him and his daughter weren't really related. They were, like, in on something.
Yeah.
But I think in this movie you have a lot of working theories, like, what if this? What if that? Like,
right.
There's so many what ifs.
And Julia Roberts is kind of the person who asks all those questions. She's very suspicious of them. And he has this, why he doesn't pull his ID out. He has a reason for it. But what about her? Why didn't she have an ID? There's
no idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things happening. The girl goes in the backyard and sees like 100 deer in the backyard.
Yeah, there was no explanation to the animals. They kept saying, like, the animals are trying to warn us. The animals are trying to tell us something.
Right.
That never got answered.
It never got answered, but that's always something like haven't you encountered that in your own life where people are like, oh, the birds are flying a weird way. There must be a storm coming, or, things.
Yeah, but no one says, oh, all these random flamingos just got in my pool. It must mean that...
that we've had a cyber attack.
Yeah. I haven't heard that one yet.
No. It really winds up being like, this is an end of the world apocalyptic kind of movie. What do you do? Like, what do you do at that point when you can't communicate? And it's really, maybe it's a political, theory situation too about how connected we are to our phones and the internet, and how we don't really know how to live with each other without that kind of stuff. And it's just really, it's really a downer. It's really a bummer because I can see this happening in a certain way. I mean, I've been in blackouts before, and that's a very strange feeling, not to be able to...
Never have I ever been in a blackout. Is this just a Maine thing?
No, it was actually a California thing. So,
oh, wow.
But yeah, it's just a strange feeling. And we do, living in Maine, we do lose power at our house because we're like Maine. A second world country. We're not a third world country, but we're a second world country. Half the time I'm doing these podcasts, it's always like, hello, can you still hear me? So we've had, the power go out, and when the power goes out in your house, it's very strange because there's no noise, and you're not even noticing the noise in your house that you can't really pinpoint, but there's always ambient noise from lights and things like that. And when the power's out, there's nothing, and it's the sound of nothingness is very loud. Like, you're like, this is an extreme feeling, and you feel really kind of like isolated. So I think that's kind of how they felt. They were out on an island, I think, or not exactly sure.
I can't even tell where they were. Somewhere not far from the city, but secluded.
And they said that Montauk Island was close to them. So, I don't have any point of reference for any of that. So if anyone does, let us know exactly what was happening. But so, I mean, the movie is basically just these people trying to figure out what's going on. And, you know, eventually someone leaves the house to go and see if they can go back to the little town that's there. And I always have a complaint about these kind of movies is like, if you have 4, 5, 6 people in a house, one person never goes anywhere by themselves. It should always be at least 2 people. Always.
That's very true.
Right? I mean, he should have taken the daughter or somebody with him. And because then, you know, he experiences some weird stuff when he's out there, and then he can't get back to the town because all of the Teslas are driving by themselves and they all are crashing in to one another to make a big giant pile up.
Is this the part where you're talking about where the dad goes out and then he encounters that woman speaking Spanish, like, frantically?
Yes. What did you think of that?
So, it's actually funny because, not that I know Spanish at all, but I could piece out some words. So I heard her say airplane, and I heard her say red, and I heard her say, like, something else. And it was funny because, like, those are the exact keys that you needed to figure out, like, what was happening. Like, there was an airplane. There was, like, red pamphlets thrown everywhere.
Yeah, and she kept saying my house, my mi casa, mi casa, mi casa. And so I was like, well, something's happening at her house. I didn't get the red part. I heard the airplane, and I was like, did an airplane crash into her house? Because we did see an airplane crash into the beach at one point, I think later.
I was so mad that he didn't take her in the car.
I know. I don't understand why he didn't.
I mean, I guess you could think of her as a threat. Like, she's in the car, and all of a sudden, she tries to, like, beat him up while he's driving. I don't know. But
yeah, but looking at this person.
I know. I felt bad, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it ever be that? Would you ever think, okay, we're being cyber attacked or actually attacked? Would you ever think that it's Maria on the side of the road? I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, Maria deserves to get in the car, and maybe she did she want to get in the car, or did she want him to go to her house? Like, that was the thing I was thinking.
She wanted a telephone, because she kept saying, like, telefono, I think.
Yeah.
And obviously he couldn't explain, like, it's not working.
Right.
But still, I mean, she's on the side of the road. At least take her. I mean, the house is big enough for one more person.
Yeah, or 30 or 40. I mean, that was weird because I feel like that's totally against what his character seemed at the time. But maybe that was him showing us that, you know, everybody's sort of unraveling and not themselves.
Acting themselves, yeah.
Yeah. And there was weird things. And then later on he's driving, or I don't remember if it was before or after, and there's just a horse standing on the side of the road, you know? I'm like, what?
The animals make no sense. Like, none of the animals make any sense. I think we should just ignore the animal component of the discussion because there's no conclusion we can draw from them. Like, the flamingos, the deer, the horse.
Right.
I think there was birds. I don't know. None of them make any sense.
It doesn't. Well, I do want to talk about one other animal thing, though, because I didn't. So the only person who sees the deer is the little girl for the longest time. And then blah, 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 blah. There winds up being this little shed in the woods. And Julia Roberts and the daughter of Mahershala Ali are out there. They're looking for the little girl. And they find this shed and they go inside. When they come out of the shed, there's the packet of deer again, like a ton of them. And
then, like, the head of, like, the king deer.
Yeah. With all the big, antlers, yeah. They have, like, this mysterious stare down. Like, I'm not really sure why. And then the two women start yelling at the deer and they run off.
Yeah. So weird.
Why?
So I don't know.
The girl went up to the deer and they seemed to be like pals, but not these two women. I don't know. I think a lot of people don't know. A lot of the, sort of riffraff that I've been hearing is that it's really just not the only thing that is really, like tension filled or thriller like is the soundtrack. you know.
Oh, all that like piano
Yeah, it's like something's gonna
stuff going
happen.
on.
Yeah, the piano's going, you're gonna die, something's gonna happen, something's gonna
But it
happen.
really, like, I get how it's a thriller, but there's not really any jump scares. There's not any really
No,
big surprises.
no.
It's just more of just like clues to
Yeah.
something you still don't know the full answer to.
Yeah, and they're only, I mean, we're only talking a couple of days maybe. The son gets bit or stung by something at some point, and later on all of his teeth are falling out, so I don't know.
And the fact that they got medicine from that guy
Right.
without him even diagnosing him, I was like, what are those little blue pills? How does he know what condition he has? Well, I think he thought that, like, oh, it's not, it's from the sounds, because I heard this happening before. Like,
Right.
that harsh sound
Yeah.
emits, was it radiation or something? And then, like, you can lose your teeth? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And one of the, when it's, when they have the parts come up, part one, part two, one of them is the sound or the noise, something like that. Yeah.
Honestly, the parts didn't do anything for me. Like, I didn't see this movie segmented into different acts. Like,
No,
they should have taken away the parts, because that didn't really.
it didn't. And
I feel like in more movies now, I'm seeing it broken into parts.
Yeah.
I feel like that's becoming more and more common, and sometimes it's effective. I don't think it was effective at all in this film.
no, it seems like a really lazy way to not have to make a segue between whatever just happened and the thing. I mean, it really does, because what are the parts? The parts in this movie are part one, the house, part two, the curve, part three, the noise, part four, the flood, which I don't, did anything flood?
Was there a flood?
Part five, the last one. Well, the flood, there was when the plane crashes into the water, it makes, a bunch of water come up into that other guy's house.
Oh.
And remember, it shatters the windows and all of that stuff. But I don't know. I don't know. I said that a lot in this movie. I'm like, I don't know. When is something?
I mean,
when is something going to happen?
and I guess something did happen, but it was just very unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Because,
Incredibly unsatisfying.
yeah.
Well, and
Like, all the pieces just didn't fit together.
no, and it's sort of like this one person's point of view of what would happen if, something like this happened and the satellites were blown out, or maybe that's what happened. Also, we see later on in the movie that New York City is on fire. So
Literally.
that's not done by satellites. Is that just people not being able to cope, or is that an actual, like, attack?
I thought it was an actual explosion, because they see it from a distance. You really don't get a
Right.
up close view, but it was definitely like on fire, exploding. But then I thought in that view you could see like something dropping and then another part of New York exploding. But maybe that
Yeah.
was just
No, I did.
part of the same explosion. I have no idea.
I saw that too, and it's like, you don't really know, is this, we've all seen end of the world movies. Is it a terrorist attack from another country? Is it something, something in space where the satellites, it just happens, organically or naturally? Is it aliens? There's like I feel dissatisfied about that part, not even having any idea who is the enemy here. We don't have any idea. Maybe that's the point.
I'm glad that this movie didn't make a stupid turn and we see like some weird like creature
Right.
come out of like the airplane or the ship, and it's just like, oh god, you could have gone so many ways with this movie,
Right.
and you made this weird awful creature that makes no sense. Like, I am glad it didn't take that turn, but
It kind of felt like
I
it
still
did.
needed more answers.
It kind of felt like it did a little bit when the boy got bit or stung or whatever in the woods. I don't know of anything that within like 12 hours of getting bit or stung is going to just make your teeth fall out, because that's what happened.
Especially in New York.
Yeah, even if they're on an island in New York City, like, I don't know what that could possibly be, because that seems pretty extreme. And also, if it's something that bad, is, a couple blue pills of antibiotics going to really do anything?
Who knows?
Yeah. So it's this real, and they're really privileged people. I mean, let's bring that up as well. This is the point of view of the very privileged, because by saying this house is stunning is really not giving it its due. It's an Architectural
Oh
Digest
yeah,
house.
it looks like an art museum.
Yeah, and it's got, it's got these great rooms, it's got a huge pool, it's got, a fire pit, and the stories that happen that are sort of ancillary to what's actually happening feel kind of unreal and disconnected to me. So they did two other like side stories with these same people. The dad and Mahershala Ali's daughter are sitting by the fire pit, and it seems like they're having a very intimate conversation, and she took it as being that he was hitting on her, and I think she was probably hitting on him. And I'm like,
I think she was definitely instigating that one.
Yeah. But what an I mean, the world's ending. Let's go sit by a fire and, do
smoke
that.
weed or whatever they were doing.
Yeah, and smoke weed. What is this? What we're gonna do? And then meanwhile, the Julia Roberts, the mom, and Mahershala Ali's character, which he's got initials. I can't remember. They're like GW,
GH, something.
Yeah. His name is George. Are in the like music library where he's got this huge collection of vinyl, and they put on something from I don't know, the 90s or 2000s and start dancing, and then they almost they may start almost making out, and I'm like,
yeah,
then
that's what I'm saying. Like it's like this movie is a bunch of pieces that don't necessarily fit together. Like is that a storyline in itself, or it's just a random scene?
Right. And that had me thinking, well, maybe there's something, the sound that they were hearing was making them, act differently than they normally would. And that's why those things kind of happened. But they don't take that anywhere. They don't make me believe that's what's happening. The boy gets bit and something happens to him. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get somewhere with this. But we don't. We don't get anywhere. we just go to the prepper's house and pay $1,000 for a couple of antibiotics. So
basically.
And it's interesting too that they live on this island where all the houses are so fancy and beautiful, and then we see the prepper, and the prepper's, it's a nice house, but he literally, you can tell that he's like, a little backwoods, and I mean maybe he'll make it through an apocalypse, but who is
gonna make it through?
Tell me.
That girl who found the bunker. Like now, that's how that girl. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're at the end of the movie when this happens, because everything we're telling you happens in the movie, and I think it could happen in almost any sequence because it doesn't matter because you never find anything out. So we find out that Mahershala Ali somehow had a little bit of a weird, strange warning that something may be happening, but it's the warning, the story he tells about the warning is not even worth saying because it's like, that seems pretty dumb.
Yeah.
So the girl takes off at some point on her bike just because it's time for, other things to happen.
Oh, she was quoting something like, "I'm tired of waiting around."
Yes.
I don't know what she was saying. Something like that.
Yeah, I'm done waiting. She wakes up that one morning and I'm done waiting. Because I don't have I don't have any I can't watch the end of my friend's show. Now the power's out. I'm leaving on my bicycle.
See ya, family. Goodbye, family.
Goodbye, family. I'm taking this on my own. And it's a good thing she did because she found a house that has a bunker. And the bunker is...
Well, before that, we find where the girl is because the mom goes searching for her.
Yes.
And then the movie reveals she's literally in a kitchen eating, like, every junk food you can think of. Like, just pigging out.
She is, and I'm like, well, what does that say? Does that say... Well,
I know, like, if you found all this, like, food and stuff, wouldn't you go back and just tell people, like, hey, look what I found?
Right. I mean, the little girl really is... She's all for herself at that point.
She's all for herself.
And before that happened, like probably 5 minutes before that happened, I'm like, okay, they're drinking a lot of wine. They're drinking a lot of all kinds of things. They've been there for 2 days, 3 days now. I haven't seen one person cook or eat a lick of food, since they've been there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the scene comes up where the girl is absolutely demolishing all the junk food. in the house. But that's before she finds the bunker, though, isn't it? Isn't she just got it from the kitchen or whatever?
Yeah, that's where she finds the bunker. And then there's this like glowing red room.
Yep.
That she goes and she's like, oh, what is this? And then she finds this big safe door and she goes, oh, let me open the door. And that's when the bunker is revealed and she finds the Friend DVD and starts playing and the end.
Literally. That's the end of the movie. That's the unsatisfying end of the movie that everyone is talking about. And that is the only, part 5 is called The Last One. And The Last Friends is called The Last One. And they show that. It says The Last One. And then there she is sort of in like what's the movie? Poltergeist way, where the little girl sits in front of the TV. And there she is just doing that. And we don't know. We don't know if her parents find her. We don't know anything because we're all done. We're all done with this movie at this point. And people are mad. People are not having it.
Really? I didn't see the reactions.
That's what brought me to it because I think it probably was on TikTok for me that people were just like, the ending of the movie. What am I doing? What?
Yeah.
And I was like,
very unsatisfactory.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to be watching this. I don't really want to go any further into why it's unsatisfactory. This movie is based on a book. So whether it veers from the ending in the book or not, I don't know. So did you know that?
No idea.
No idea. Well, I guess the end of this podcast is going to be as unsatisfying as the movie, since we don't know. I was glad that it wasn't a movie that was an apocalyptical kind of movie that wasn't, I don't know, that the earth wasn't freezing or we weren't chasing aliens this is just a simple story.
I'm glad there's no aliens or monsters or creatures. Like, I'm glad it didn't go that route. But I still wish you would have known which country was terrorizing New York City or why or what the plan was. Or
right. Because clearly...
It could have been the Koreans or the Russians or whoever theory everyone thought it was.
Right.
Iran? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be... It could be anybody, but is it really... See, there you go. Is it really anybody, or is it just the war within?
Oh, gosh. No. Let's end this here. I'm not trying to discuss that one.
I think that's the point of his whole movie, is that it's that. But it's hard to swallow when it's, like, in such a grandiose fashion. Like, 98% of the world would not be able to relate to any of these people. So, kind of crazy. I think unsatisfying is probably a good word for this movie.
Very much.
Yeah.
Very much.
I wouldn't recommend it to people unless they had a couple hours where they just wanted to challenge their existence in life. Yeah. I don't know. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, it sounds like you and I have the exact same reaction. Yeah. Now, I bet if Brennan watched it, he would love it.
I think he's going to watch it. And when he does, I think it would be really funny to, like, catch up on that and be like, no, you guys missed the whole, ethos of the whole thing. And it's about man versus himself and, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah,
probably.
I do envy the record collection that this man had. So.
Oh yeah.
Pretty sweet.
No, that was good.
Yeah. So I'm a not recommend, not a strong one. I mean, I guess it's, if you like thrillers, it's not even a good one for that. Never mind. I'm just a regular not recommend. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say I didn't absolutely hate it.
Right.
Just because I think the acting was good. Maybe I'll just have some positives to say.
Yes.
The acting was good, and despite all the crazy, like, artwork, or maybe not artwork, like, cinematography, like, it was kind of cool to watch. So.
Yeah. So it's
That's it. But yeah.
You are recommending it?
As you.
You're not recommending
it. Oh, no. I'm not recommending it, but I did end with some positive notes.
Yeah, there are some. You're right about the acting. I always like to watch Mahershala Ali and anything. Julia Roberts is hit or miss with me lately, but this is okay. I think she does good in this part. But yeah, it's just not... I need more answers, and this movie is not that. So it's 2 not recommends. for Leave the World Behind, because I don't know how we're leaving the world behind with this, but we do have some upcoming stuff because the year is ending. So we will be doing a top 5 show, and I think we're doing some show where we're all just going to get together and talk. So maybe we'll be able to, goad Brennan a little bit about this movie and see if he's goad him into watching it, I guess. So, but what are we doing? We have that coming up, and I'm not sure what else, but a new year, and then then we have Oscar picks. I mean, I feel like everything's just coming right at us. So we are Films with the Women on Facebook. You can reach out to Brennan on Instagram. He's Brennan_podhost, and you can email the show at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. I understand why he gets this all messed up every time we do it. So
it's a mouthful.
It's a lot. Yeah, thanks for everything. That was great.
Yeah, I think we did a pretty good job.
I think so too, but I'm going to go ahead and say next time, let's get another Idris Elba thing going on. How about you?
I'm always on board with that.
Yes, we'll do that. All right. So, well, thanks for everything, and enjoy your movies.
Thanks for listening to Films with the Women in My Life. If you enjoyed being a listener in our life, please rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Keep up with the latest from the show on Instagram at Brennan_podhost, on Facebook at Films with the Women in My Life, and on Twitter at FilmsWomenPod. Finally, you can email the show with questions and suggestions at filmswiththewomen@gmail.com. Original music for the show was created by Ian Burke and Chris Iwanek. Original artwork created by Nicole D'Alessio. This show is produced by Brennan Snyder. Thank you again for listening, and enjoy your movies.